In a world of sequels, prequels, reboots, and spin offs, we now have full seasons of television on the big screen. Gotta love Hollywood. The Mandalorian and Grogu is Disney's latest attempt to justify their billion-dollar investment into the Star Wars franchise. It's also the first Star Wars movie we've gotten in over 7 years. The last time we saw Star Wars in movie theaters was The Rise of Skywalker back in 2019, and that wasn't a great place to leave the Star Wars franchise if we were going to take a hiatus from movie theaters. Of course, we did get a lot of announcements for Star Wars movies. None of them came to fruition, though, so, at least we got that. This movie stars Pedro Pascal and Baby Yoda, who's his own celebrity at this point, and it's directed by Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau is one of my favorite directors of all time. I really love Swingers and I love Chef. It's one of my favorite movies ever. It's a movie that reminds me why I love filmmaking and storytelling. The feel good film about a artist who, due to fame and success, realizes that he's lost the love for his art, that the product he's putting out isn't what he loved in the beginning. It's now soulless, corporate, and just greed. And that makes it super ironic that Jon Favreau goes from directing passion projects to more and more blockbusters. He directed The Lion King, he directed the first two Iron Men, and he directed, of course, Mandalorian and Grogu. I know he was the showrunner for a bit for The Mandalorian, at least in the first seasons, and he was the one who spearheaded that project. Which, when the first season of Mando came out, it was a breath of fresh air in the Star Wars universe. You could really tell that there was thought behind what was being made. It was a new story with a faction in the Star Wars universe that wasn't really touched upon in the mainstream fan base. And it made for a great season of television. Everything from Giancarlo Esposito playing Grand General, whatever his name is, you know who I'm talking about. But everything from that to Baby Yoda to even Taika Waititi appearing as that droid. Everything screamed, this is why we love Star Wars. And then we just saw the same story repeat itself over and over and over again for two more seasons. And this movie is just like those last two seasons of Mandalorian. They have the emotional depth of a McDonald's commercial. You could see and hear the soundstage in which they shot everything. We don't have to go to crazy locations to shoot on site for, a desert planet or a jungle planet or a city, in another galaxy. But not everything has to be shot on a soundstage. I swear to God, I think every inch of this movie was shot in Los Angeles. I think that's something that I read in an article, and you could tell right away. So, speaking visually, this movie is very bland and boring. Now, going into the story, this movie is also pretty bland and boring in that way as well. This movie doesn't really have a plot. It has three sections in which, we see this part of the story. Basically, Mando needs to get this thing, right? He's going after this. In order to get this, he has to do this other thing. In order to do that other thing, he has to do this other thing. And that's just what we get. We just get Mando and Grogu on a random adventure. This really did feel like a season of Mandalorian that we just didn't get on Disney Plus. We got it on the big screen. That's just what I said at the beginning of the review. It's not a story. It's just another season of television with a little less filler because it still has filler in it. You could say to yourself, how could you put filler in a 2 hour and 12-minute movie? Well, you can. It doesn't need to be 2 hours and 12 minutes because there's no narrative behind it. The story doesn't call for the movie to be this long, and so you can feel the length of the movie. I think towards the close to the 1 hour and a half mark, I was already looking at my watch begging for this to end. Now, I sound super cynical and I make it seem like I hate the movie. I didn't hate the movie. I just hate that this is the era of Star Wars in which we're in. Maybe if we had gotten Mandalorian as a movie instead of a series on Disney Plus from the beginning, I'd have a little change of tune, but that's not how it went. We got 3 successful seasons of a TV show that just got more and more corporate, more and more boring and repetitive. And since we saw that success and we need another win, we're going to put it on the big screen, and we're not going to put any stakes. We're not going to put any thought into the story. We're just going to have a Mandalorian and Grogu adventure, which, I mean, you could take your kids to over the weekend if they're Star Wars fans, sure. But if you want to save that money, you could literally put on season 1 of Mandalorian, and you're going to get the same level of entertainment and the same quality of storytelling. No, you're going to get cheaper quality of storytelling. Let me rephrase that. Go watch any season of Mandalorian, 2 or 3, 1, 2, or 3. You're going to get the same quality of entertainment that you would watching Mandalorian and Grogu. I can't think about not saying spoilers because there's nothing to spoil. Nothing happens in this movie. It's just a series of events that lead to a conclusion. That's it. No one has an arc. No one has a reason to be here. Pedro Pascal does his, legally obligated 10 minutes of face screen time, and then he disappears back into the helmet, and then we get another body double while he does recordings in wherever he is. It's just super disappointing. Given that I'm a big Star Wars fan, seeing that this is the state that the franchise is in, it's just super disappointing. Like, I'm not even excited for the Ryan Gosling movie that's coming out, Starfighter, something like that, directed by Sean Levy, because I have a big feeling it's just going to be another Mandalorian and Grogu, another boring, soulless corporate slop. Yeah, and that's my review for Mandalorian and Grogu. So, final verdict: if you want to save $30 each per ticket for this movie, just go watch season 2 or season 3 of Mandalorian. Why go to the movie theater when you're gonna get it on your home screen in a matter of 6 months? And until then, just rewatch the series. You're gonna get the same thing. But that's it for Mandalorian and Grogu. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.